guys, welcome back to Arry the Stag. TR Tony here, sat in the garage on a wet weekend. Stage 2 of the seat rebuild. I've managed to get the the seat squab separated from the back, as you know in the previous video, and I'm just now seeing if I can rescue what I've got left, having now stripped off the seat material and all the various bits and pieces, and we'll see how we get on, I think. So one or two of you very kindly have offered me seats of yours, and I may well still take you up on those offers, actually, depending on how we get on here. But I just thought I'd work through this one anyway. It may just help others who are working on their seats in due course. I've had a couple of very interesting emails actually during the time that we've been off air, in between doing the first and the second film. Here you can see the base frame now. I've gone over it with a wire brush attached to my trusty Bosch professional power drill, so that's been very good to go through just for a simple wire brush. So I've got the worst of the rust off, including some of the glue that I think was still stuck on there from taking the seat cover off. One or two of you will have seen, no doubt, that this bolt here on the other side broke off. So this is the hinge bolt where the back goes back, and it hinges on here. I can show you later on where that is, but this one's okay, and the other one broke off in it, so I had to drill it all out and then re-tap it. And I've come up with a bit of a cunning plan. I don't know if it's going to work or not, we will have to see. But over on this side, I actually ground off the retained nut that was welded on there and replaced it. I think that's I can't remember if that's a 5/16. I think it's a 5/16 nut and bolt in the orifice. So managed to re-tap it, and I thought I'd put a nut on the back of there just for extra kind of security. It may well be that I get maybe Alan just to tack weld across the back just to make it safe, and then all I've got to do is get another one of these here bolts with the sleeve on the top, because obviously that's thicker than the thread on which the seat back then rotates. Also had a few problems with other nuts and bolts, as you can see here, so I've had to improvise, and again I'll see if I can get some welds onto there just to tack those nuts so they become retained nuts on the back. The lucky bit was the front bit, which I managed to re-tap, actually, having got the front plate off, which, if you remember, is down here, and that was a bit of a job in its own self. I've managed to get that off, and if we look underneath, you can see that I've got some new bolts straight through there in the retained nuts that were there. So I was lucky with those. I managed to re-tap them, and job done, fingers crossed for when we repair it. Now, I've had several bits of advice when doing these seats. Primarily, don't bother tone, send it off and get someone else to do it, which I think is a very good idea. Actually, I might still do that, depending, but I'm going to keep with this for a bit anyway, just to see how we get on. And one of the ideas was to dip this in molasses, and it's a top tip, I think, from one of our followers over in the US, suggested that if you got 1 part molasses to I think 3 or 4 parts water, that and then duck this in to that solution and leave it for a week or two, that a lot of the surface rust will come off. So that's a great idea. I haven't actually tried it. You might want to have a go, and please let us know how you get on when you do it. I'm going to go for perhaps a slightly more commercial option, and for those that watched a video of ours a few months ago, you will have seen that we were talking about Arry's MGB GT and the fact that he's going to use this stuff called Genlite, which is rust converter. Basically, you apply it directly to the rust, as you can see here, allow it to dry, and it should be ready to paint, or at least make look nice at least 3 hours later. So I'm just planning to go over it with that solution just to see what it does. I think I did try this on the hub, on the crankshaft pulley a few months ago, and again you can look that up on the previous video series. I think it will go purple when it goes off, but let's have a go with it and see what happens. And here we go. Literally it just says shake the bottle, pour a little bit into a plastic cap, and literally you just apply it to the surface in this way, having wire brushed and got clear of most of the surface rust. It kind of smells quite interesting, so I'm not really sure I should be doing this in an enclosed space, but nevertheless it's not too not too much odour, so it's not too bad. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this turned it. It's already turning black, as you can see. So a little bit more on there. So, and you know, I think if we can save this, it will be a good result, won't it? At the end of the day, it's going to be under lots of leather, I hope, seating and foam. Structurally, it seems all right, and okay, it's got a little bit of rust on it, but at the end of the day, if it's done professionally and properly, as best as I can do it, with a little bit of black paint on there as well, then, you know, I think that's a good way of saving money, not being silly about the rebuild process. But you'll be able to look back in this in a few years' time and see exactly what we did to refurbish these seats. And we're getting there slowly but surely. Just show you a close up of the colour. I don't know if you can see there's a hue of purple there as you go around it, and so that's beginning to change colour, which is the design of it. It's very clever. And as I say, this is a rust converter. It's not a rust remover. It converts the iron oxide into something else through chemical reaction, and then protects the layer underneath. So I know that Alan, our welder, highly recommends this stuff, and just seems to be going on very well and very nicely, very easily. Doesn't take long to do, and hopefully we'll de-rust this or change it into whatever it is, non-rust stuff, pretty quickly. And less than a little paint cap full of this stuff has done the entire seat. So I've been all around the nooks and crannies, all down the little guidelines and the little divides and the little seams, and fingers crossed that's now going to dry and hopefully be devoid of rust. There's one or two little bits I'm going to have to grab because I've just spotted I haven't done them. So but apart from that, we're yeah, making good progress, so all good. Alright, so now suitably hung up and left to dry, so we'll see how that comes out in a day or so. After it should dry pretty quickly, and they recommend you should paint it straight away, but I'm going to leave it overnight because it has had a good soaking. I've still got to do the runners, which you can see in the car, so I've got to make sure these are a bit cleaner than the seat squab frame I've just done. So this will need a bit of treating. I'm going to probably get a bit of wire brush to that to clean it off first before I then give it the same treatment, and see if that comes up nicely as well. Okay, so that was the before, that's the left hand side, and I've been working at it with just the wire brushes you can see in my electric drill, and okay, there's still a little bit of surface rust on it, but actually you can see some silver now, so maybe there's hope for this. If I can just remove those little bits of silver, whether I need to rust inhibit and then maybe paint them, I'd rather not if I could avoid it, because I think they are supposed to be just metal, but I'll see what I can do. But that's already beginning to look a lot better, which is good news. Now, rightly or wrongly, this may be a bad thing to do, but I can't obviously get into the weeds here of the runners. They're all a bit plugged up inside. They do run. I think there may be some ball bearings in there, I don't know. But if you can just see here, there's actually a little pin that goes through the upper part of the track that can be, I just knocked it out from this side underneath with just a little kind of dot punch thing. Here we are. So that's, I've just hit it with that thing, and it's moving. So the idea is to take this little pin out if we can, and remove the runner, and therefore be able to clean it a lot easier than I'm currently doing. So wish me luck. And there we are with a little bit of fiddling and manoeuvring. You can see it's just coming through to release the runner. Hope I can get it back in. Okay, I've beaten a hasty retreat. It came out. The other one had to come out the other end. I wasn't sure that it was going to be that worthwhile in the end, so I've managed to reinstall it by the same method, just by tapping it in with a hammer and then pushing it in with a a bit of a dot punch to get it through to the other side. So that's back now installed, and at least I can breathe easy in my bed tonight. Right, well, what an afternoon. It's been worth it. There's been dust particles flying everywhere. I've been using this drill and also this little number as well, just to get into all the nooks and crannies. I'm actually very pleased with the way that the track has all come up. I decided to put that pin back in. I didn't want to get into all of that because the runners are fairly smooth. In terms of how I go forward from here, I could paint it. I could just de-rust. I don't want to use the stuff I used earlier, the Genolite, because that leaves a painted surface, and I want to kind of keep it silver if I can. So there may be a rust application that can just get rid of the last little bits of spots on there, but I think that's come up really cleanly. It's taken all afternoon to do, but it's one of those jobs I think that you have to crack on and do, but very serviceable, and I'm pleased I did that. And just looking at the mechanism, if you imagine that's the front of the seat here, and that adjusts on this handle which goes on the outside of the seat between your legs at the front, then it pushes this cam back here up and down, as you can see, and the seat maneuvers high or low depending on how you want it. So it's quite a clever piece of design, I think. But anyway, yeah, I'm reasonably chuffed with that. I know it's been a bit of a daggy job. I'll have to go and have a good wash now, but that's not unreasonable considering how rare these things are to get hold of. I will either rust it and then spray it, paint it silver maybe, or we'll see how we get on, but I'm pleased that we've got to where we've got to. And then one just last little look at the seat squab. Pretty much dried off now, I think you can see a few little drips on it, but I'm not too worried about that. Has gone black, which is how it's supposed to go after you've painted it. It went through that purple phase as you saw earlier. So I think, yeah, making progress. We never said this would be a quick job with the UNY49M, and that is what it's proving to be. But hopefully we're laying down lots of film here that will be helpful for others, and it's also documenting the whole rebuild process, literally piece by piece, painstaking though that may be. I hope you've enjoyed it anyway. Alright guys, so there we go. It's been a good afternoon. Absolutely caked in it, as you can see. I think I've got a bit of a moustache under here. That's a throwback to the 70s. Anyway, I'm glad I shaved it off then. I'll go and wash it off now. But yeah, that's been really good. It's all about restoration, this. Yes, we'll get some decent new stuff into the cabin when it's appropriate. So things like the seat covers and all the rest of it, we'll be spending money on that. But if we can make do with some good solid engineering with the seat squabs and the frames, then so be it. We'll crack on with that. Okay, so that's about it for this afternoon, guys. Hope you've enjoyed it. It's been an interesting journey, if a bit grubby. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe, and if you want to click for one of our Arry The Stag badges of honour, free of charge for your windscreen, please just let us know, and we can I'll put a little note in the box underneath. You can just click through a link there and order one if you'd like, no problem at all. But that's it for now. I'll hope you have a great week. We will be in touch, I'm sure, at some time very shortly, and thanks for watching Arry The Stag, and we'll see you online on Arry The Stag very soon. All the best, guys. Cheers for now. And if you'd like one of our Arry The Stag badges of honour, then simply click on the link in the description and follow the process, and we'll send you one free of charge.